to our Village of Hanover Park meeting this evening at 7 o'clock, July 20th. Nice to see you all, and we'll call the meeting to order. Madam Clerk?
Trustee Kunkel?
Yes.
Trustee Nicole?
Yes.
Trustee Friedi?
Here.
Trustee Gusani?
Here.
Trustee Gutierrez?
Here.
And Trustee Porter?
Here. Thank you. Please join us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. A motion to accept the agenda?
So moved. Second.
We have a motion and a second. Asked to remove 7A7 from consent.
And I would like to remove 7A6 and 7A10.
6 and 10. Okay. Very good. Anyone else? Christie, if you would call the roll.
Trustee Bancole?
Yes.
Trustee Friedi?
Yes.
Trustee Gusani?
Yes.
Trustee Gutierrez?
Yes.
Trustee Porter?
Yes.
And Trustee Kunkel?
Yes.
Very good. Presentations, I have a couple. I don't see Lyle Peeland here in the room. Lyle served us for many years in the snowplow operator and cutting operation, curbing operation, worked in public works. Really appreciate Lyle's work over the years. I won't read the whole proclamation since he's not here, but with 33 years, I do appreciate that, and I will personally present this to Lyle. And I also have a safe driving and public awareness proclamation. The dangers associated with speeding will result in fewer traffic crashes. And whereas the number of crashes in Illinois motor vehicles in 2021 was 295,604, and whereas there were 85,398 persons injured and 1,341 persons killed in Illinois motor vehicles in 2021. And whereas speeding accounted for 31% of all overall crashes, 36.9% of the injury crashes, and 44.4% of the fatal crashes in Illinois in 2021. Whereas the total estimated cost of crashes in Illinois for 2021 was $6.7 billion, and whereas the Illinois Association of Chiefs of Police partnered with the National Highway Safety Administration and supported by the Illinois Department of Transportation, American Automobile Association, Illinois State Police, Illinois Tollway Authority, Sheriff's Association, Illinois Truck Enforcement Association, Canadian National Railroad, and the Illinois local, county, and state law enforcement agencies and first responders committed to partnering together in an effort to reduce vehicle crashes resulting in injuries and fatalities, and educating Illinois motorists on the aspects of speed awareness through education enforcement of applicable state laws and by supporting Illinois Speed Awareness Day. Whereas the ILACP continues to develop partnerships designed to create strong support and equitable traffic safety culture throughout Illinois to reduce the number of speed-related crashes. Now therefore, I, Rodney S. Craig, President of the Village of Hanover Park, do hereby proclaim July 26th and 2023 as Illinois Speed Awareness Day and encourage all citizens to recognize the importance of speed awareness and to drive safety. There we go. And 2 proclamations, town hall session. 2 ladies just walked in. Did you want to sign in for
Town Hall
town hall?
to speak?
No, okay. All right, just to listen. Okay, thank you. Town hall session, we have Anuja. Good evening, Anuja.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I'd like to request consideration of a property I own. It's the 800 Irving Park property, the old Long John Silver's. I've owned this property for 2 years and had really very limiting use of this property because of the taxes, which are very challenging. This is in the Cook County part of Hanover Park, and the taxes for this property have been $55,000, gone up every year since I've owned it. And Long John Silver's, when they owned it, they never appealed the taxes. When I bought it, I appealed it, and for 2 consecutive years, the appeals were denied at the assessor level. But because of the high taxes, I've not been able to attract a buyer or a leasee for this property. No business can afford to pay over $5,000 in taxes every month. And we've tried, I feel I have a pretty competent tax attorney who's been very successful in appealing our veranda taxes in the back. But this property has just been like hard to do anything with. So I've had it on the market for the 2 years I've owned it, and we attracted like 3 serious restaurant operators. They all thought they could get somewhere with the taxes, and after trying a bit, they kind of gave up. So as one of the last resort options to this tax problem, my tax attorney suggested to put the property to nonprofit use, because that resets the category of taxes in Cook County, and it's one of the last resort ways to, when you have such challenges of 1,700 square feet vacant property that's been vacant for over 5 years with $55,000 of taxes. So I made an appeal to the village to consider if they would waive some of the requirements to fix this building to operate it as a nonprofit. As you can imagine, to operate a building as a nonprofit instead of like a productive commercial use, people have limited funds to do that, and it's going to cost a considerable amount to fix the property from inside and from outside. But I'd like to bring it up to the board to see the only other option after this, if we cannot work this out, is to demolish the property and convert it into vacant land, which will also reset the taxes in Cook County. But it's been challenging also because I own a commercial lot in the southwest corner of our property. This is the southeast corner. And everybody who comes to look at that lot asks me what is going on with the Long John Silver's property, and they are scared away with the challenges we've had. So not only am I not able to do anything with the Long John Silver property, I'm having the same problems with having the other commercial property. It's going to have the same fate as this property. So I wanted to see what the board thought of trying to work with like some waivers for the work required to fix this property versus demolishing it to convert it into vacant land. And one more thing I wanted to add. So the plan from my tax attorney was that once the taxes are reset, then it's easier to go back to Cook County assessor and challenge the huge crazy assessment that they've put on this property. So his suggestion was to like operate it as a nonprofit for 1 or 2 years and then go back and convert it into commercial use.
Okay. We have your comments, and we'll look at the choices that we can share with you.
Okay.
Okay?
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
I do have a question, and I know we usually don't do debate during town hall, but I do have a question. I'm wondering, how many square feet is that property?
The building is 1750 square feet, and the total land, it's got like big parking lot. The total land is around 0.6 acres.
Okay, and have you had any conversation with our county commissioner? I know you've talked to the assessor's office. Have you had any conversation with the county commissioner to try to resolve this?
No, I have not.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Can I also ask a question? If I may. One question. You just mentioned that there are several different businesses, such as restaurants, that have made inquiries about that building, about potentially either leasing or owning it. Is that correct?
Correct.
There
Yeah.
have been restaurants?
Yeah. 3 restaurant operators came through once
3.
we had it on the market.
Okay. Okay, that's good to know. Okay, thank you very much.
Okay.
Okay,
Thank
thank
you.
you. I don't mind questions for clarity. Okay? Let's see.
Cindy?
Cindy,
Oh, you're just here to listen?
pardon me?
She's just here to listen.
Oh, okay.
Just wanted us to sign it.
Oh, very good, thank you. Stefan, yes, sir. On Cinema Drive?
Yes. Hi, I'm Stefan File. I'm here like I was last month about the boulder situation, and I was hoping that the board has had some chance of either driving by or seeing the property and seeing that the boulders are in place and that they're not really obtrusive. I don't understand how there was a claim of snowplow drivers damaging their vehicles. I have a nephew that's a snowplow driver, and he says if a snowplow driver is careful, there shouldn't be a problem. They need to be aware of what they're doing at all times. Also, there was a comment about potential fire trucks having problems. Fire truck drivers are excellent drivers. They can probably thread a fire truck through the eye of a needle. So I don't understand how that was brought up as an issue. But I'm hoping that the board will understand that the boulders are in place as a one is a safety thing. The other good thing about having boulders on the property there is it prevents a lot of drivers coming up onto the property and driving around the property. In that area, and especially like in my situation, across the street's an open area, and I'm on the corner kind of situation of the curve, and it'd be easy for people to start driving around on the property. And it happened up the street a number of years ago, and once they put the boulders in place, the problem went away. So I'm hoping that the board considers the situation where I got notification that I was in violation, and I've lived there 35 years, and they've been there for 35 years. So I don't understand why all of a sudden this year it became an issue. So I thank you for your consideration, and I hope that you'll kind of rule in my kind of consciousness of that they're okay being there. I thank you for your time.
Well, thank you for coming this evening. It's still a work in progress. I think some board members still have questions, and staff has not, we have not issued any fees or fines as we're moving forward. So I would say with some board members, it's still a work in progress. So thank you for coming tonight. And someone else? Bob Hain.
I don't think I have much to say beyond what Stefan has already said, other than it's kind of a case of the bully and the little kid. This ordinance has been in effect for years and years and years, and someone decided to start enforcing something that wasn't very reasonable. Like I said last time, there are stop signs, road signs, mailboxes, light posts on the parkway, and they seem to get along just fine. And to have a couple boulders there just for aesthetics or for safety seems reasonable. And I repeat myself from last time I was here, the people of Kitty Corner for me who have this huge boulder removed have 6 children who play in the front yard. Okay? That boulder is more likely to save their life then caused an injury to the driver. It's just really stupid, and the quicker you guys can fix that, the better. And it would look good for you guys too to do that. Thank you.
Thanks, Bob. And I've been by your house, and I know your parkway is aesthetic. You've
Thank you.
got more bricks around your trees.
Yeah,
And I even saw you have a seating arena in the parkway,
oh,
you know, a bench.
oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so I know you're going out of your way to make things very nice.
We're trying. It's hard to do we have, our association only has allowed 3% increase in dues. And when inflation, like in years and years ago, was at 18%, and recently it's been 9%, we can't gather enough funds to operate and grow as we're ordered to do by the bylaws.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good day, all.
Okay. All right. Village President's report. Couple of items. Some good news for the people of Hanover Park as we annually work to keep our taxes low. Our Congressman Raja has presented, will be presenting a check for $600,000 on a grant August 2nd. It'll be at 10 a.m. at our STP plant. So we've submitted for support for our STP plant a year or so ago, and this was approved, so we'll be standing by to receive that check, so everyone's invited, come by. I'm really tickled to death with that. That's a good dollar amount. We don't have to either bond money or raise taxes, so that's good. Today I received a call from Cook County, our Invest in Cook grant to study our future needs for bike paths, sidewalks, and safe ADA type needs for our future grant requests through Cook County, and I know Trustee Porter is thrilled to hear that, as he has been working with bike paths and sidewalks for some time. The Thorntons is underway at Garrion Lake, and that will be some nice revenue once they open up. I'm looking forward to that. You can see that under construction. Additionally, the Shell station on Lake Street at Ontarioville Road, that's all under construction and being rehabbed. So additionally, that will draw more revenue to the village of Hanover Park, which is exceptionally like to raise our revenue. That helps keep our taxes low. I was disappointed to hear this week that Caputo's is closing temporarily for 6 months as they go through a remodel. I like Caputo's. It's a good place to go. They recently upgraded their signage. They've replaced the whole parking lot and they painted out the building. But they feel it's their last store to receive an upgrade, a remodel, if you will. So I'm excited to hear that. But I'm not excited they're going to shut down for 6 months. Hopefully they'll expedite that. And then there's a consideration for a letter that I was reviewing. I had some positive comments from one trustee and I met with on a Saturday, and you know, about highlighting Hanover Park and trying to bring some positive thoughts to that, and I appreciate that time. I've spoken with all the trustees by now, and while it was favorable initially, upon review of all the impacts and requirements for property, I cannot generate this letter. However, it is my plan to work collaboratively with the president of Northwest Municipal Conference, the mayor of Schaumburg, myself, who's the vice president of Northwest Municipal Conference, to present Hanover Park as a positive ancillary opportunity to support the stadium in Arlington Heights. So I'm going to leave it at that. I'm going to ask each board member to speak to that at their time at the end of the meeting when they have when they speak to their agendas or their issues on whatever committee they are leading. So that's all good. So with that, I move to approve by unanimous vote items on the consent agenda.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. And
And those items are 7A1 through 7A5, 7A8, 7A9, 7A11 through 7A14.
okay. Any questions? Hearing none. 7A6, motion to pass.
No.
Oh, gotta have, yeah, I always forget that part.
Trustee Bancole?
Yes.
Trustee Brigi?
Yes.
Trustee Husani?
Yes.
Trustee Gutierrez?
Yes.
Trustee Porter?
Yes.
Trustee Kunkel?
Yes. Thank you, thank you. And
7A6.
7A6, motion to pass an ordinance designating the village director and alternate on the board of directors for the Northwest Municipal Joint Action Water Agency.
I need a motion first.
Need a motion?
I'll second.
Thank you.
We have a motion and a second,
No.
so,
Okay. So the memo that we have in front of us discusses designating an individual to the Joint Action Water Agency. And in this particular case, it states that our village president is director and that trustee Craigie is alternative director. And when I inquired to obtain a little bit more information about this request, I was informed that trustee Craigie is already has previously served as an alternative director since 2017. And that this was brought before the board to serve as a renewal of sorts. And so nowhere in this memo does it state that. I was actually a little bit surprised that this was a position that's been held for several years, and I was unaware. And so and given the fact that our board agendas are a matter of public record available for the public to see, I do think that what we are voting on should be correct. I don't know if that would also then impact the actual ordinance number 023, but as it reads, it's, from my understanding, because there's chunks of information missing, I would just ask that it be corrected before we actually vote on it.
okay, so what we receive from JAWA is a requirement that they have. They send us the ordinance and ask for an update, because Juliana, review that every 4 years, and they update their ordinances. And so we just followed what they sent us and went forward with that. So to change anything on that, I don't know if that would meet their requirements.
So to clarify, we are voting on the renewal of something, and nowhere in here does it say it's a renewal. Nowhere in here does it say that this individual held this position since 2017, so for the past 6 years. There's information that's missing, information that's needed to make a fully informed decision. And this is also a matter of public record.
Juliana?
So, JAWA has had a delegate and an alternate on their board of directors since we were one of the initial communities that created the JAWA organization. I sit on the executive committee as chair, and each community has a delegate and a representative, an alternate on the JAWA board. past practice has been that the mayor has, at the point of a new board seat being, after an election, he will make a recommendation to the board of the representatives for each of the different organizations that are in the community. So Trustee Prigge was named by ordinance in 2017 as the alternate on the JAWA board. The mayor has made a recommendation for him to continue. It's not a requirement that Trustee Prigge fill that position, but that the board, it's a requirement by JAWA that the board approve an ordinance naming the delegate and the alternate, outlining who has authority to make decisions on behalf of the Village of Hanover Park. So the ordinance was submitted to the board with the mayor and Trustee Prigge's name in it for your consideration, and it's before you this evening. So I wouldn't necessarily say it's a renewal. I would say it's the ordinance for now that's being asked by JAWA to be filed with their organization, and they've had this in place. Different members have served in that role since its inception.
So thank you for that overview. I appreciate the background information. I think what I'm trying to communicate is twofold. One, there's information missing from, pertinent information missing from this, and this is a matter of public record. And so we as a board, we want to make informed decisions, and it was just brought to my attention that there's missing information. So that's important, as that ultimately impacts how we vote as a board, right? So that's just the first thing. The second thing is that as electeds, we hold these positions. We hold positions in different capacities. This impacts our residents. This impacts, community stakeholders. And I think it is, in an effort of being transparent, it's important that that's documented in this public record. So I understand that we were just tonight given this information about committee assignments and the different positions that all of us hold. But if that's nowhere for the public to see, and if that's nowhere for our residents to see, and they don't have that information, why would we then move forward and vote on something when half the information is there? So I understand what you're saying, and I'm thankful for the overview, but I do believe that a change does need to be made and needs to be reflected of what has been said tonight before we actually vote on it. So can a change be either made, so if the ordinance is set, then can a change be made to the memo that reflects the information that has been provided here tonight? Because that's not in the memo.
I would say that the ordinance is a standard ordinance from the JAWA organization that they've asked us to approve. And I would expect that the village clerk would capture the conversation in the minutes. The memo isn't really an official document of the village, but the official document that's going to go forward is the ordinance and the approval of the ordinance as written or amended by the village board, and the minutes that are approved by the village board going forward.
I'm okay with reflecting the discussion in the minutes of the meeting by the village clerk. We have an ordinance that we're approving that was provided to us.
So to clarify, that will be recorded in the minutes?
Yeah.
Okay, that works, thank you.
All right, thank you. Christie, call the roll.
Great. Trustee Prigge?
Yes.
Trustee Husani?
Yes.
Trustee Gutierrez?
Yes.
Trustee Porter?
Yes.
Trustee Kunkel?
Yes.
And Trustee Bancole?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. 77, motion to authorize out-of-state travel for Trustee Bancole, Trustee Porter, to attend the National League of Cities City Summit Conference number 16, Conference November 16 through 18, 2023 in Atlanta, Georgia. Christie, we have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second, discussion. I'm fully knowledgeable why trustee Porter is seeks to go to the National League of Cities, but I have no knowledge, trustee Bancole, but maybe you can provide us some information what your interest is in attending National League of Cities.
Sure, but I was just trying to get clarity as to whether or not trustee Porter and I should be abstaining,
Oh,
given the fact that this is,
Yeah, you may want to abstain. It affects you, yes. Affects expenditures for yourself.
so based off of that,
well, we're still asking for
I
clarity.
think during the discussion, we can answer questions.
Sure.
And do, but we can abstain from the vote.
Yeah, you can abstain from the vote, yeah. But we'd like to hear, you know, I know trustee Porter's been truly vested for a number of years, and,
so to clarify, you'd like to hear from both of us?
well, at least from you, because you have not attended previously, nor I had any understanding what your interest might be in attending.
Sure. It's my understanding that each of us as elected officials have a certain amount of monies that allow us to take part in professional development activities. I also understand that the village is a part of the National League of Cities and that we have a membership with this organization. I'm also familiar with the fact that many people here at this dais have taken trips throughout the state of Illinois, outside the state of Illinois, in an effort to further their understanding of things that may be beneficial to the village. I have now been on the board for several years. Although I have been able to take professional development seminars, workshops, things of that nature within the state, the opportunity presented itself to travel to Atlanta to attend the National League of Cities annual conference. I think this is something that will be beneficial to me, and that is why the request has been made. Please let me know if additional information is needed.
So I think my question is more specific around Herb goes and represents sister cities and Herb.
If I can kind of clarify and jump in a little bit. I attend for two purposes. Yes, certainly to represent the village of Hanover Park, but also for the tremendous networking and personal development opportunities that are available and that are presented there. Some of the relationships that I have maintained and that I've entered into with other delegates, other elected officials from around the country have proven to be beneficial with a lot of best practices that are discussed, different items that come up for discussion for similar sized communities. So I find that to be very valuable in the reason that I attend. I'm not of the opinion that because there's so many sessions that are occurring. I remember when Trustee Shah Jahan was on board. She also attended and was part of the caucus for the Asian American elected officials and attended a lot of those activities and those breakout sessions. I find that there probably is considerable value in having more than one trustee attend this, because there are so many breakout sessions and so many things that you would like to attend, that to be able to coordinate that with a fellow, with a colleague, and coordinate those schedules to make out some of the important breakout sessions, I think could have good value for the village. I know, again, Trustee Shah Jahan and I would coordinate breakout sessions and things that we would go to simply because one person can't cover them all. There are just too many that, that happen. I would actually welcome having Trustee Bancole attend this event as it, you know, as we could partner through this and bring the best value back to the village. And I think that the other thing that's in consideration is that we've foregone our attendance in the IML conference, and you know that's roughly $2,000, and the trip to the National League of Cities is $2,700. So there's a difference of $700 in attending the two, which per person, yes, per person, $700 per person that you know that we would be incurring, which I think that is a reasonable cost and expectation again for the return that we get. That you know, that's just my input on it. Trustee Bancole hasn't attended, and but I do think that for Trustee Bancole or any other trustees sitting at this dais, I think that there's value that could be attended, that could be received by attending this conference.
I don't disagree with anything you just had to say, and I think there is value in going. I attend for specifically transportation and anything to do with veterans, and there's a couple of events that really emphasize that. The networking is outstanding. I also appreciate the thought and the collaboration that can happen when you do go out there. And I think, you know, I can support that. I just wanted to get a little more in-depth thought to it. You know, we're assigned to committees, and I also like the rest of the board to understand that I think there's value in attending the IML, the Owling Municipal League. I know no one's attending this year, and you know, it's the last year at the Hilton after 50 years. But the collaboration and building relationships within the state of Illinois, I think also are a positive extension, and I value when board members decide to go.
I would love to attend both, but I don't think that our budget permits that. And, you know, that's a budgetary issue. But I do find there's value in the IML, but having to make a decision between IML and National League of Cities, then I fall on that side of it. Which brings up a question that I've often wondered, because we do vote on the attendance to the National League of Cities, but we don't hold a similar vote on funding for the IML. It doesn't come up for a vote where we approve the funds for anyone to attend the IML. And I would think that a conference is a conference, and if we're spending out of the village's funds, why is there no vote for attendees to the IML? If someone wanted to attend, why is there not a vote to approve that attendance, just like it is for any other conference that we may want to attend?
I think that's a base component of our budget over the years. And, you know, we may want to look at that differently.
Yeah.
Yeah, currently the budget, and it has for several years, has had a line item for the IML conference. So the board approves the IML conference as part of the budget process. It does not have a line for X number of trustees to attend an out-of-state conference. And so several years back, the village board at the time put together a policy to outline and it was included in your packet, the guidelines for travel out of state for those conferences. And so this is following that.
So the issue then becomes that it's an out-of-state conference, not the cost, because the costs are similar for both. Like I said, there's a $700 difference in per individual for the cost. So is the fact that it's an out-of-state conference, or is it the fact that it's a line item and a budget issue? Because if it's just budget, it shouldn't matter whether it's in-state or out-of-state. If it's costing, you know, basically within, you know, a couple $100, the same amount of money. That's kind of, you know, my question. I'm
Yeah,
trying to...
I think when the workshop took place, it wasn't just about cost. It was about a representative from the village that the state conference was there for everyone to go to, and that they wanted, like we're doing this evening, to put forth why you wanted to, and what benefit it would bring to the village to go to an out-of-state conference. Because I think that there might have been, usually it's been the NLC meeting, conference that has been a request, but I don't think that it limits, that policy limits it to the National League of Cities out-of-state conference.
Right.
There could be others
There are
that,
others, but yeah.
the board might not think is necessarily appropriate or not. So I think it's
What-
just broad for the
Yeah.
for the conversation.
And so I think that when that was probably put in place was at a time when there was almost unanimous attendance across the board by all of the village trustees. And so it was assumed that the village trustees would go to IML, and that's why a line item may have been developed and put into the budget to cover that. But seeing as this is a new board with new priorities and new interests, I think maybe we need to revisit that line item and how it's written to assume that everyone's going to go to IML, and then rewrite that to reflect that there may be other conferences of interest that other members may have and that they want to attend, and not just work under the assumption that unanimously that we all would want to attend the IML for whatever reason. So I would, as we go through the budget process, maybe that's something we can discuss about taking a look at that line item so it more accurately reflects the interests of this current board as it relates to attending conferences.
I would totally agree, and I support your tenants to National League of City. I remember when I was first elected, our trustee Carter wanted to go to National League of Cities, and the vote was 5-1. I mean, it was ridiculous because never before have we looked at other conferences, and I've been advocating that. But I think, if we've gotten away from just attending the IML, I think there's a lot of value there, and I just want to emphasize that additionally. So, yeah, I'm good with, any other board member have a comment, or just this?
I agree with trustee Porter of taking another trustee with him. This is also looked at as a cross-training as well. What contacts that you have might be picked up by trustee Bancole, and that's going to ultimately benefit the village. So it's good to accompany somebody and go for a conference instead of going individually. Somebody.
So, how we do that in the budget, I'm looking forward to that, so, very good. And glad it was on the agenda, so, but I wanted to have some dialogue. So we got it. Very good. Christie, if you would, call the roll.
Trustee Brigi?
Yes.
Trustee Husani?
Yes.
Trustee Gutierrez?
Yes.
Trustee Porter?
Abstain?
Trustee Kunkel?
Yes.
And Trustee Bancole?
Abstain.
Thank you. All right, 7A8, is that correct? No, that's a consent. 7A10.
So what was the vote?
4-2.
4-2? 4-0.
4-0,
Oh.
yeah. 2 abstain.
Abstain goes with the positive.
My concern was that there were,
4 yes.
4 votes.
because if there wasn't, I'd ask you to call.
Okay. The attorney has 4 fingers. Very good. 7A10, move to pass an ordinance amending section 18-207 of chapter 18 of the municipal code of the Village of Hanover Park, Illinois, concerning fees and other matters.
So moved.
Second. We have a motion and a second. Discussion.
Yes. So I did have a question on the fees. My first question, so apologies, let me start over. So I recently read the 2023 Business Retention Survey results report that was put together by our village. It's really comprehensive, it's really informative. If my fellow board members haven't read it, I would encourage you to read it. There is a graph within that report that states our village's strengths, and it also talks about some of our barriers. And it appears, based off of the information that we've received from the businesses within our village, it says that the #1 barrier to growth within the village of Hanover Park is the cost of doing business. It is too high. So we have before us something that talks about fees and the fees that we are going to implement in our new village zoning district. And I just want to make sure that fees aren't preventing the future businesses that might be there, if these fees should be re-examined, given the fact that the businesses that are already here have said that the cost is just too high. And I did also want to get a little bit more information about what, so it states in here that these fees are similar to existing processes. I would like a little bit more information about what existing processes are being referred to.
So I'll start and then I'll have Shubra follow up but on more detail if needed. So the fees that are in this ordinance have not changed. We didn't change any of the fees. They're what are currently existing. What we needed to do was take the wording of the new Village Center zoning ordinance and incorporate that language into our code for fees. So what they did was they took the new language and placed it in the categories that were most similar with the current existing fee. So for example, master plan development was a new term that was in the zoning ordinance, and so we are going to charge for master plan developments the same charge as planned unit developments were charged that fee. So both of those will be charged the same fee, and so on, as was written in the cover memo. So we need to get the language in place so that if a development comes in, that the code reflects that there's consistency between the two, the zoning ordinance and the code. We can go back and review the fees more comprehensively. We did not do that this time. We did not do a fee review. We just are placing the new language in this section.
Thank you for that. That makes sense. So then, should we move forward tonight to vote on the language so that that can proceed?
That would be our recommendation.
Okay.
Any other questions?
Okay. So does that mean we're making a change to the motion, Bernie?
Yeah, I think there's a misunderstanding between the communication between the village manager and the trustee.
Correctly?
There's no misunderstanding on my part.
Okay,
I was asking about.
all right, yeah, I think
make a
if you looked in our municipal code as it currently exists, these fees that are in there, in our current municipal code, are the exact same fees that are in this ordinance. So there was no change to any of the fees. The only change that was made is the village had adopted a new zoning ordinance for the territory on Ontario Road. And in that ordinance, there are 2 or 3 new ways of getting relief from the zoning ordinance. Those particular things that were in that ordinance were not in the fee ordinance. So they were now put in the fee ordinance. The fee to do them was matched with the fee that has been in existence for years. And so I would say that there's no need to amend the ordinance. It's basically keeping the fees as they've been for years. There's no increase in the fees. It's just adding this additional language to cover these additional processes that the board had previously approved.
Which is
So thank
outlined in
you.
the ordinance that I think we just said the same thing, and
I-
that is just,
right.
that's what is outlined in the ordinance, is those
Yes.
language changes.
Right, yeah, yeah.
I have no questions. Anyone else?
So just to clarify, so I started my comments stating that one of the barriers to doing business in the village, as reported by our businesses that just provided us with this information, is that the cost of doing business is too high in the village. So that's where I started with my remarks.
Right.
So then we have before us something that is talking about fees and the structure in which and how we fee, charge land use developments. And what I thought I heard our village manager say is that the purpose of this was to move forward with the language, but that the fees could be reevaluated at a separate time.
Right,
Yes.
but the problem is that if you remove the fees from this ordinance, the result is there are no fees for any of them.
Well, then maybe we should revisit this at another time so that it can,
Well,
be
you
done
if you
properly,
did nothing
but-
tonight, if you just walked out the door and did nothing with this ordinance, all these fees would remain the same for all the categories, except it would not cover the 2 or 3 processes that they're concerned about that are not currently covered.
so how do we move forward in a way in which we just have an additional review as to whether or not the fees are not scaring off current and or future businesses?
So I can answer. So I would recommend that this go forward because there are 3 processes that need to be added to this ordinance. We'd be happy to look, and it's in our it's in our plans to look at fees that we just got that business retention survey. I will say that the biggest barrier that they're referring to in that survey are the real estate taxes, and we heard Dr. Gupta talk about that today. So that is what we believe that the businesses are referring to when they say the cost of doing business here. But we will look at the fees, which are also costs to a business at the beginning of their start here in terms of a master development plan, design exceptions, et cetera. And we'll come back to the board with a review of those fees at a later meeting.
Thank you.
Okay. Christie, if you would take the roll.
Trustee Prigi?
Yes.
Trustee Husani?
Yes.
Trustee Gutierrez?
Yes.
Trustee Porter?
Yes.
Trustee Kunkel?
Yes.
And Trustee Bincole?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. 7820. Oh. I'm too ambitious. 7815, move to waive competitive bidding and approve the service agreement between Ally Universal and the Village of Hanover Park in the amount of $29,850 for the implementation of police department building improvements for the overnight closure of the records division. 2/3 vote of the corporate authorities is required.
So moved. Second.
A motion is second. Any discussion? Hearing none. Christie, call the roll.
Trustee Husani?
Yes.
Trustee Gutierrez?
Yes.
Trustee Porter?
Yes.
Trustee Kunkel?
Yes.
Trustee Bincole?
Yes.
Trustee Prigi?
Yes.
Mayor Craig?
Yes. 7016, motion to waive competitive bidding and establish a purchase order to Communications Direct for the purchase of 23 mobile radios in an amount not to exceed $24,610 and authorize the village manager to execute the necessary documents. 2/3 vote of the corporate authorities is required. Do we have a motion?
So moved. Second.
And we have a second. Discussion? Hearing none. Christie, call the roll.
Trustee Gutierrez?
Yes.
Trustee Porter?
Yes.
Trustee Kunkel?
Yes.
Trustee Bincole?
Yes.
Trustee Prigi?
Yes.
Trustee Husani?
Yes.
Mayor Craig?
Yes. Motion, 7817. Motion to establish a purchase order to Lindco Equipment for a 2024 Freightliner 108SD dump truck in the amount of $268,000 and authorize the village manager to execute the necessary documents. 2/3 vote of corporate authorities is required. Good motion?
I'll make a motion.
Second. We have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
Yeah, I have a question.
Yes.
Why wasn't this in the budget?
So this is not, again, I'll try to start, and then if you need more detail, I can have TJ speak further. So this is a 2024 vehicle that will be budgeted in 2024, but they want to place the order this year and do a purchase order this year, so that because of the lead time to get the chassis for both of these vehicles. So if you approve this evening, then they'll place the order. It will be budgeted in 2024, and we will pay the funds out of the 2024 budget when we receive the vehicle. And it might not get there until 2025, so if it waits till 2025, we'll have to re-budget it in 2025 if we don't receive it in 2024.
So how is that different from the next purchase on the next agenda item, where it's budgeted for 24, but it's budgeted as, yes, it's been in the budget?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear.
The next agenda item says it's, yes, it's a budget item, but it says also fiscal year 24. What's the difference?
Again, so you're comparing 17 and 18?
And 18, yeah.
They're both in the same situation, but it's just referred, in here, it's a 2023 panel van. It's a year 2023 vehicle, right?
But it's in the fiscal year 24 budget.
Hi. Regarding that, when they issue the actual year, the make of the vehicle, they can actually vary pretty rapidly. In this case, they're both intended to be purchased in 2024 and received hopefully in 2024, but we had the opportunity to order them. Now, it could come back as a 2024 model year, but as of right now, the paperwork that they're giving us is listing it as a 2023 model year. To be honest, that's kind of a moving target with all of the manufacturers right now, because in some cases, they're skipping years entirely.
So for me, it's not more like the model or the year of the model. It's what budget do these items belong to? 24?
Yes,
24.
so if you look on page 161 on the van, if you look in the box, what we tried to do is indicate that it's 2024 budget in both boxes.
But one says, yes, it's budgeted, and the other one says no.
Oh, I think that's a typo.
Where are you talking about? Oh. It will be budgeted in 2024, let's put it that way.
Okay, and why are we, so the current truck we have has 299 hours, 41,000 miles on it. So why are we replacing it?
This is a truck that sits actually most of its life. And it's worked extremely hard. It's worked in an extremely corrosive environment. And it has reached the end of its life expectancy. Even though in terms of the mileage on it, it's not extraordinary miles. But in terms of hours and in terms of time on station and working, it's really at the end of its life.
So in our vehicle replacement fund, as you recall going through each year, we outline and save for all of our vehicles over a number of years. Both of these vehicles are scheduled to be replaced in that savings plan, essentially, in 2024. One of them will go to, down to the next level as a, what do we call it, a backup?
Well, yeah, we refer to it as the 3,000 fleet, but we have a fleet that has its primary duty and then a fleet that moves into its secondary duty. And then after a secondary duty, it moves out of the organization.
So it will move down and be kept, but then another vehicle will leave the fleet.
Very good.
And one of them, I think, is so bad that they're gonna just send it to auction.
The panel truck is just going to go to auction. There's no secondary use for that. It's really at the end of its life.
Very good. Anyone else? Hearing none. Christie, call the roll.
For 7A17, Trustee Porter?
Yes.
Trustee Kunkel?
Yes.
Trustee Bancole?
Yes.
Trustee Prigi?
Yes.
Trustee Husani?
Yes.
Trustee Gutierrez?
Yes.
And Mayor Craig?
Yes. 7A18, motion to establish a purchase order to Curie Motors for a 2023 F-59 panel van in the amount of $211,226 and authorize the village manager to execute the necessary documents. 2/3 vote of corporate authorities is required.
So moved. Second.
We have a motion and a second. Discussion? Hearing none. Christie, call the roll.
Trustee Kunkel?
Yes.
Trustee Bancole?
Yes.
Trustee Prigi?
Yes.
Trustee Husani?
Yes.
Trustee Gutierrez?
Yes.
Trustee Porter?
Yes.
And Mayor Craig?
Yes. 7A19, move to waive competitive bidding and award the purchase of one American Signal T128 outdoor warning siren from Fulton Siren Services for the amount not to exceed $21,950. A 2/3 vote of corporate authorities is required. We have a motion,
Second.
second. Discussion? Christie, call the roll.
Trustee Bancole?
Yes.
Trustee Prigi?
Yes.
Trustee Husani?
Yes.
Trustee Gutierrez?
Yes.
Trustee Porter?
Yes.
Trustee Kunkel?
Yes.
Mayor Craig?
Yes. That's the tornado warning, right? 7A20, move to approve warrant 7/20/2023 in the amount of $1,551,989.94.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none. Christie, call the roll.
Trustee Prigi?
Yes.
Trustee Husani?
Yes.
Trustee Gutierrez?
Yes.
Trustee Porter?
Yes.
Trustee Kunkel?
Yes.
Trustee Bancole?
Yes.
Thank you. 7A21, move to approve warrant paid in advance 6/10/2023 through 7/14/2023 in the amount of $1,550,618.73.
So move.
We have a motion
Second.
and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none. Christie, call the roll.
Trustee Husani?
Yes.
Trustee Gutierrez?
Yes.
Trustee Porter?
Yes.
Trustee Kunkel?
Yes.
Trustee Bancole?
Yes.
Trustee Prigi?
Yes.
Okay. 7A22, move to approve May P cards in the amount of $24,276.
Move.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Discussion. Hearing none. Christie, call the roll.
Trustee Gutierrez?
Yes.
Trustee Porter?
Yes.
Trustee Kunkel?
Yes.
Trustee Bancole?
Yes.
Trustee Prigi?
Yes.
And Trustee Husani?
Yes.
Thank you. Village Manager's Report, Juliana.
Yes, I just want to make a clarification based on what we were just discussing regarding the vehicles, because now the panel van was budgeted this year, correct?
Yes.
As stated in the memo, Trustee Gutierrez, and it is not going to be able to be received this, or obtained this year, so we will be re-budgeting it in 2024.
Okay.
So we will be ordering it this year, but re-budgeting it in 2024, and then hopefully paying for and receiving it in 2024.
Okay.
That's for 7A18.
Thank you for the
The
clarification.
request is still the same, but I just wanted to make that clarification.
Monthly Treasurer's Report.
So yes, I have the monthly treasurer's report for May and June on the agenda and in the packet. We'd be happy to answer any questions that you may have. You will see the investments as one of the of the attachments and part of the report showing that we're trying to keep receiving the higher interest rates on our investments. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Any questions on the treasurer's report?
Yes, I do.
Good.
On the treasurer's report for, excuse me, go ahead, let me pull it up again. Bear with me here. Okay. On the monthly treasurer's report for June, I was looking at the page 245. Yeah, 245.
And did you enjoy
I'm
your?
sorry, yeah, page, not 245. This is page, go to agenda, page. $248, thank you for bearing with me there. I was looking at the MWRD, and I was looking at the revenue versus the expenditures, and I saw that the MWRD, at the top of this chart, it states that it's 50% of the fiscal year has been completed. And MWRD, the year-to-date of budget, is at 28.85%, just about 29% of revenue that has been generated on a budgeted item of $350,700, and the monthly actual is $16,961. And that the expenditure year-to-date total is $8,623, which is 3.40% of the actual. Why are those numbers so far off of projection? What's going on? Is there something obvious that I'm not seeing on that?
Well, that budget right now is funded by a grant that we have received a portion of, but not all of yet.
So it's grant funded?
Grant
So we
funding.
were waiting for the remainder
Right.
of the
Correct.
grant?
Correct.
Yeah, it's
Yes.
like $150,000 grant that we never received yet for this year.
And is that a state grant, a federal grant? Where's the grant? What's the
This is
original
one of
grant?
those capital grants that we've been using to
This is the-
build out
The extension for the sports centers grant that we received from DCEO.
the DCO capital grant that we use to build out all the ball fields and the concrete and everything like that. It's on a reimbursable basis, and so as the work's done, we submit for reimbursement, correct?
So is that the only outstanding or revenue that we're waiting for? Because
Yes.
if we do that, even with the 150, that takes us up to like 250,000, so it's still off from the budget of 350.
The other revenue on the MWRD is a transfer from general fund. So we do transferring on a monthly basis from general fund to MWRD. So at the end of the year, it's gonna be automatically gonna be 100% of transfer out of the general fund. If we didn't receive the funding for the grant, then we're really out by $150,000.
So by the end of the year, there'll be balance between the revenue and the expenditures?
Correct.
If we receive the
If we
grant.
receive
If
the
you
grant.
receive the grant?
Yes.
And barring or in the event that we don't receive the grant, what do we do with the expenditures? Would that have to come out of the general fund to make up for that shortfall?
Correct. Or we can use the fund balance to
Fund
pay for the expenditures, which is actually the reimbursement from the grant. So it's just gonna be a delayed in payment.
Just the delay?
Yes.
All right. Okay, I was just looking at it, I just saw that the numbers were way off, and I was just figuring if there was a reasonable explanation for it, so thank you.
Good catch. Anything else?
No further report, Mayor, other than we have closed session this evening.
Very good. Village clerk's report? Who's going to IML?
Okay, so, tomorrow is Cops Day, so come join in 5 to 8:30. The movie tomorrow night is The Bad Guy, so come out and support the PD, have fun. And then the car show's coming up on August 6th. It's quickly approaching, so put that in your calendars and come out and visit. That's all I have.
Thank you. Corporation Council report?
And I have no report, thank you.
Okay. Trustee Kunkel?
I have no report.
Okay. I need to vacate for 5 minutes. Do you want to stand down?
For,
5-minute break?
Yeah, take a 5-minute break. He needs
oh,
to be
do I
here.
take 5 minutes?
He needs to be here for the rest of the.
I don't want to miss the discussion. Are we? Oh, people left, so let's give them the 5 minutes they asked for. Pardon me? I was too fast. Thank you. Trustee Bancole.
Thank you. So I'd like to start my report by addressing the Boulder matter that our residents have brought to the board on several occasions now. I almost want to take a pause and maybe allow Trustee Porter to explain what he is thinking about a way to address this matter.
Sure.
Do you mind?
Yeah, no,
Okay.
well, thank you. I've heard our residents, they've come forward at several of these meetings, and I'm particularly sensitive to the fact that we've had an ordinance that has been in the books for over 30 years but was never enforced for whatever reason. And trying to have some empathy for the situation that they find themselves in. I see that we existed for, again, over 30 years with this situation, and I have not heard any extenuating circumstances that suggest that there is a critical need to adjust our stance on that. But I do recognize that, you know, the value of ordinances and compliance. So what I would like to recommend to my fellow board members is that we grandfather in those residences that currently have had those boulders and have had them for a period of time, that we grandfather them in as an exception to this ordinance, and moving forward from a date certain that we set, that, you know, that they would from that point forward be prohibited from having those boulders, but that we grandfather in those boulders as they currently exist on those properties as a viable solution that I think meets the needs of both the village authority and also of our residents.
Given that's not on the agenda for tonight, we'll take that with.
Sure. I mean, yes, not something we're going to vote on
Yeah,
tonight, but
yeah.
I mean, as we come to try and resolve this, because I hate to have these residents come in every board meeting with the same issue and not having had any movement by this body, you know, to address it. Because I don't want them to think that we're just kicking that can down the road. We do have to come up with some type of a solution.
Juliana?
So, two emails have been sent to the board by the police department, where code enforcement, regarding this item in response to questions and reasons why. I did state some of them earlier. I would just ask when we would have a chance to have a discussion then about the strong reasons for wanting to, this isn't an aesthetic, this change is not for aesthetics, it's for safety, it's for potential property damage, and it's for liability purposes. So I think we need to, and maybe we can do it in a workshop setting, to be able to have a conversation regarding that.
I would agree. I think let's workshop it, let's have that discussion, but by all means, let's get something back to these people and let them know that we're addressing this issue so that they're not, you know, I love seeing people here in the audience at our board meetings, but I don't want them to continue to come without us having made an effort to resolve it one way or the other.
Or to at least give them a direct answer as to whether enforcement's going to continue. So as of today, enforcement is continuing forward. We're still working with the residents to help them remove their boulders, to pick them up, to help them put it on their property. So I did hear a resident, you know, talk about wanting that protection for their home and their children. They can move that onto their private property and have that protection in that it's just not on the parkway. So yes, we can have that conversation.
I would like to even entertain maybe having an injunction or hold on removing any further boulders until we've had that opportunity to workshop it. I think the board members certainly want to have an opinion on that.
Yeah, and let me just say that when we're removing them, it's at the request of the resident. We're not going to remove things without the resident saying, come pick up my boulder.
Okay.
So just so you know.
But are they asking you to do that under the threat of a fine or some type of
We're not
penalty?
fining anybody right now. We're working with them to remove,
Okay.
remove them.
Okay.
So I will schedule a workshop for that discussion with the board.
Thank you. I echo many of the things that Trustee Porter just stated. The idea that he's brought before the board is something that I believe that I would support. However, I would also very much like to have a workshop discussion on this. Additionally, and I don't know what the proper protocol is, maybe a pause is the best way to go about this. I don't know if that's something that would be, if it's a appropriate to bring that up tonight. I don't know if that's
Well,
like.
it's not really on the
further-
agenda, so.
Well, we won't find anybody until we have the discussion. We won't be taking it to that level until no one will receive a,
So what
Violation
Juliana is
notice.
saying is only people who are calling and requesting to be removed, that's what we are acting upon. We are not actively saying, well, we're gonna do it right now. So letters been sent out, but only acting on people that are requesting it to be done.
Right.
So I think it is in a way that it's on request of residents, so it is like a pause, but it's nothing actively happening from the village side, that we're actively going out and removing something.
Right.
Oh, okay, so just to,
Yeah.
oh, okay. So any of the boulders that are being removed now, it's because those residents have proactively contacted us? We are no longer,
correct.
Yes.
oh, okay, okay, got it. Thank you for the clarification. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I'm gonna continue with my report. We heard from Dr. Anuja Gupta earlier tonight about Long John Silver, the property that was formerly Long John Silver. And to hear that that the property taxes associated with that vacant building are scaring off potential businesses, and then to hear that there are several different restaurants that have inquired about that space only to be scared off is really painful to hear, given the fact that the board just had a formal discussion about last month about the types of businesses that we want to see in the village. And so I would hope and I would ask my fellow board members to, I'm not 100% sure, what action would be taken, but to support the waiver fees that Dr. Gupta was requesting, or have an additional discussion about the different ways in which we can support her, because when we support her, we also support our residents. We give our residents what they want to see in the village. That former Long John Silver's is in a prime location right off of Irving Park Road. It has been vacant for way too long. And I actually really appreciated hearing from Dr. Gupta tonight. And so I would like to ask about when we could put that. I'm not 100% sure what action takes place now. Is it something that comes before the board? Is it something that is done at a staff level? What action takes place so that we can assist Dr. Gupta and review her request?
I will review where that's at right now and what specifically her requests have been to staff.
Okay.
This is not just aligned with Dr. Gupta. It is aligned with our businesses in Cook County. And we have had the assessor out at least twice. I met with him this last week. He said he has to make another visit. He's reassessing right now southern Cook County, so he has a little bit of time to come out and visit with us again on the application of the taxes in Cook County. She did state, and I'm aware, that she challenged. She has attorneys to challenge her taxes, and it's not the village that's raising her taxes. And it's the school districts, it's the other taxing bodies. So we've twice met with that organization, and so we'll have some more discussion on it. He will be back out again, as he shared that with me. He says, it's an ongoing situation. He believes there's a lot of TIF projects in the county, not necessarily in Hanover Park, but in the county that are offsetting the tax base. So it's a work in progress for him, but we're feeling the pain when our property owners come to us and articulate that same, right across the street from her is that car repair shop. I can't remember the name, but he's Camp House. So he's very, he's struggling with the same thing. So that's an ongoing project for us, addressing the needs. You know, Cook County is the only county in the state that has a 60-40 split on their taxes. In other words, you want to own your home in Cook County and your business in another county, because the other counties are 50-50 on the percentage of taxes. And so, given that, I think your comments are right on. We have to continually look at how we can serve the businesses and the homeowners of Hanover Park. So it's all tax-based and work in progress.
Thank you. So just to clarify, Juliana, that's something that you will further look into. Will that be brought, will the decision that is being recommended be brought before the board again?
It depends on whether it needs board action or not. So I will get more information. I need to look into where she's at that, on that project. I know where she's at with her other property that's adjacent, but let me look into this one a little further and see what the issues are.
Okay, thank you.
I was surprised she didn't tear it down immediately, because if there's nothing there, the tax goes way down. You're continuing?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yes. I'm going to talk a little bit about some of the activities I took part in. So I first wanted to, well, not first, but wanted to continue and thank the Sisters Committee and our village staff for the successful Juneteenth celebration. Really enjoyed myself. Loved that there was catered food, so thank you. And we haven't met since then, so wanted to just give my sincere thanks. Last month I attended Greentown, which is a climate and equity conference that's put on by Triton College. With my board liaison environmental committee hat on, attended this one-day conference. It was really beneficial. You know, talked a lot about creating healthy and sustainable communities, and then also really being able to capitalize on some of the federal dollars that are coming in through the Inflation Reduction Act. So that was very beneficial, and as we look towards many of the things that will make our community greener, I think those are important discussions that we'll continue to have as a board. Yesterday night, I was able to attend the third quarter art meeting that was held at Green Valley Golf Range. It was different. It was in a different setting than the regular art meetings, and I was really happy to see some of our residents come out, meet RPD, learn a little bit more about the art district that they're in and some of the resources that are available to them. And if you haven't gone to an art meeting, I'd encourage you to do so. They're held on a quarterly basis. And if you don't know which art district you are in, you can visit our website and obtain that information. I also wanted to thank Deputy Village Manager David Webb and many of the staff who assisted him to put on a successful Andy Warhol pop-up challenge showcase. There's so much that I learned in one night about Hanover Park, its histories, and the notable individuals, from our community. And in the same breath, I would also like to encourage our residents and our board to visit the official Andy Warhol exhibit that is taking place at the College of DuPage. It is excellent, it's expansive, there's so much to be seen at that art exhibit, and it is currently going on now until September 10th. Also wanted to mention that Congresswoman Delia Ramirez, State Senator Karina Villa, and Representative Mara Hirschauer, so 3 different elected officials, recently opened up a joint office in West Chicago. I'm mentioning this because all 3 of those elected officials do represent portions of Hanover Park. So depending on where you live, those are your representatives, and they can assist you with state and federal issues. And so it's now open. The office is in West Chicago, but just wanted to make sure that our residents were aware that that resource was available to them. Last but not least, earlier in the meeting, Mayor Craig mentioned that there was a particular letter in which he decided not to move forward with, and I wanted to, in the spirit of transparency, I wanted to provide our residents, but also just the board, a little bit more information about what the mayor was referring to. And so I think many of us have seen in the news that the Chicago Bears franchise is looking for a new home, and that they are looking for a new home in the northwest suburbs, and that they have already kind of started construction and a big project at the former Arlington Heights Race Course. I think also many of us have also seen other municipalities, put their hat in the ring to say, well, if things don't work out at Arlington Heights, you can come here and, you can build your stadium and your entertainment district here. And so we've seen, reports from Rockford, we've seen reports from Naperville, Aurora. There's a community in Lake County that I'm blanking on. And so we've seen all these various reports. And in these reports, these communities talk about how they are diverse. These communities talk about how they have a metro stop. They talk about how they're a great place to live. And I don't dispute that, but I don't see how that's any different from the Village of Hanover Park. We are one of the most diverse communities in the area. We also have a metro stop. We have a sitting board member who serves as a board of director on the Metro board. We have, there's so many things that make Hanover Park great. I mean, we even have 390 that ends in Hanover Park that doesn't actually reach Elgin. And so, several of us believed, myself included, that a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity presented itself, and that even though the likelihood of a multi-million-dollar stadium coming to Hanover Park may have not had the strongest odds, many of us believe that we too, given the other municipalities that have expressed interest, we too should put our hat in the ring to say that Hanover Park is open for business, and that even if a stadium or something of that nature doesn't come to Hanover Park, that other businesses are welcome to Hanover Park as a way to strengthen our business community. And so to hear that that the mayor has decided, based off of some of the feedback that he's gotten, has decided to not move forward with any type of interest letter, whether that's we're open for business, whether that's the Chicago Bears, whether that's a letter expressing something else, is quite disappointing. I think that we should always we should be forward thinking, and I think that many of the things that we don't like, we can change. We have the power to change that. And I think that it's of the utmost importance to put the interests of our residents, the interests of our collective community at the forefront. And I think that not taking advantage of something of that magnitude is a grave mistake. And I hope that if the Bears do come to Arlington Heights, I do hope that there is some opportunity to be a part of that and to also capitalize off of that investment. But that will not come if we do not initially express interest in a conversation. We do not have a seat at the table currently, and I'm just so disappointed in that decision. And that concludes my report.
Thank you. Trustee Prigge?
A report.
Trustee Husseini?
No report.
Trustee Gutierrez?
Hi, I will be brief. CIDC and Historic Committee have been off during the month of July, but still active. I know that we had a working group still working on archiving material. I want to let folks know that Harper College will be at the Boomer Stadium on August 12th. And if you want to get tickets, if you use the code word Harper, you get a nice little discount. So Harper College has invited us to be there as well. I will not be here on August 15th. I know we have a board meeting. I will not be present. In reference to the Bears and such, I think that being very transparent from a personal point of view, no, I don't want the Bears to come to town. I left the city for a reason. This is a small town. Let's keep it, uncongested. I hate traffic. But I can't ever put my own personal preferences over what's the greater good. And so if that is, would be good for Hanover Park, so be it. Now, honestly, I don't see where. We don't have space. But I do believe that we should always have a place at the table. That you're right, Trustee Bankole, we should always put ourselves out there and say, hey, we're here, we're amazing, we're awesome. And so I agree with that we need to take, every chance missed is the ones that we don't take, right? So we should go out there and put it. And while on a personal note, I'm not a football fan, and I don't really care about this, but I mean, if it was the Cubs, it'd be different, I didn't hear that, Herb Porter. I did not hear that. But I do believe that we should let Illinois, let the big companies know, hey, we are here. You're absolutely right. We should let them know that we're here. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Trustee Porter.
Just a couple things. First of all, I want to mention that Ghana Fest is happening on the weekend of the 29th in Washington Park in Chicago. And sister cities having a relationship with Cape Coast, Ghana. Our committee will be attending and will be there in full force. I think just about all of the members have indicated that they will be attending that. It starts at 11 and goes until about 7 o'clock at night. The party gets started and everyone's having a great time.
You say August?
No, July 29th. Next, I want to mention that I attended the play ball over at the ball fields last week. A really great event. The fields look amazing. What you've done with the fields, the parking lot, the entry roads, and everything. It's good to see a revitalization of that area and the kids showing renewed interest in being involved in our Little League program. I know that we have some memos of some operational understanding with Bartlett and some of the other surrounding communities where they're using those fields, and I think that's a great thing. So it's a beautiful facility, and I know that there are other improvements that are yet to come. So I congratulate all of the staff, particularly Public Works and the rest of the village staff for the fine work they've done in developing that field. It's a long way from when my son played with the Hurricanes, and everything was kind of falling down around you. It looks really good. Even the football field looks improved. So it's just really a great thing that they've done there. I did mention, and it's been agreed to, that we would have a discussion about grandfathering or taking a look at the Boulder situation. Grandfathering is just one suggestion. The village manager has said that there are pertinent reasons why that enforcement is taking place. So I look forward to having that discussion at a workshop so that we can all kind of be informed and come to some type of resolution of that issue. Next, I want to comment on the tax issue that Dr. Gupta brought up with Veranda. My son purchased a home directly across the street from Veranda on Irving Park Road on Countryside, which his backyard faces Veranda. And one of the problems that we faced when he bought that was the same thing that Dr. Gupta is experiencing. The property taxes on that duplex that he bought were so out of touch and so out of scope because the previous property owners had never filed for any exemptions. It was an investment property, so they just raised the rent. They never filed for any of the property exemptions. They never filed it as principal residence or owner occupied. It was always listed on the tax rolls as an investment property. Therefore, it was taxed like that. When we went in to change the taxes on that, we were informed that, well, you got to wait until the new tax bill comes out because you don't have a tax bill to actually challenge or to go in and appeal. But the point that I'm making is that whole area is over-assessed. That whole area of Irving Park Road that includes the Veranda property, and I'm sure that those properties south of Veranda on Countryside are probably all experiencing similar types of over-assessments. So I think that, and I appreciate that the mayor has had conversations with the assessor, Fritz, and that they've had that discussion. But I know that there are a lot of people that aren't satisfied with that situation. Our business owners, you mentioned Camp House, which is struggling under the weight of that. I would imagine that Enterprise is having a similar issue. All of those businesses are all struggling under the application of the tax code for those properties over there. And I think that we need to put some more pressure on Fritz. Is it Kegel? Kegel, yeah. Put some more
Fritz.
Kegel. Fritz
Kegel, yeah, that's it.
Yeah, I knew that. Fritz Kegel, put some more pressure on him, maybe contacting our county commissioner, going through that office, even if we need to contact the county president. But we need to do something to put more pressure on him because I know that his response has been, I'll get to it. I'll take a look at it. And this has been going on for years. This didn't just start. I know when I was on the Economic Development Committee, this was, again, always a problem. In fact, it even affected some of our businesses in Westview because of the uneven application or the assessment of businesses and their taxes. So I think we need to regroup and rethink our approach to this. Apparently, just approaching the assessor is not giving us the results that we need, so maybe we need to rethink our strategy and come up with something that will be more effective in getting this resolved. Because we're losing business as a result of this. Dr. Gupta mentioned that a couple of businesses have walked away. I know from conversations that I've had with Director Govine, that there have been businesses that have looked at Hanover Park, looked at our tax situation and walked away. So that's not the only instance where we're losing business because of the assessment of taxes in Hanover Park. And we're not Schaumburg, you know, we're not some of these big communities where you can see an assessment like that, might be warranted. But we don't have that kind of tax base, that kind of structure. That property sits in a TIF district, as I understand it, so I don't understand how that all works, but it just seems like it's really out of whack. And I'd like to, you know, see us implement a more aggressive approach to dealing with that taxing situation.
Yeah, you know, last week was the summer board meeting for IML. And when he walked in the room, he came right over to me and he says, you know, I understand, you know, Park District, I gotta come back and meet with you all.
Okay.
So he gets it, you know, I mean, we've often said, this is not Hoffman Schaumburg. You know, this is a portion of Schaumburg Township that's getting clobbered without consideration for who we are, so.
Yeah. Well, I know you're involved in it, and I appreciate your involvement, and I know, you know, your nature is that you'll stay on it, so, you know, I appreciate that.
Yeah.
But I think we owe it to our residents to try to get something done there as quickly as possible.
And Schubert's been working with us too,
Yeah,
and, you know, be on top of that,
Yeah.
so.
Very good. The issue of the Bear Stadium, a couple my colleagues have already spoken on that. I sit on the Northwest Mayor Conference on the Legislative Committee, and back in April, we had a Zoom call with all of the principals of the Bears, from McCaskey to the new president, to the vice president. I think there were about 5 of the principal members of the Bears that were in on the Zoom call with the members of the Legislative Committee. And they met with us for the better part of half an hour out of their time to talk about their interest in Arlington Heights, what was going on, where they were in negotiations, what they were looking for. They were sky high on that potential development happening in Arlington Heights. Based on that conversation, I think that the Bears are sold on Arlington Heights. I think that's going to happen. I think the other communities that have tossed their hat into the ring, you know, for whatever reasons, I don't see that any of that will have any impact on the decision that the Bears have made for a number of reasons that I'll state for our residents. First of all, the Bears have 10 years remaining on their lease at Soldier Field, which I think has a value of about $15–20 million on the remaining lease at Soldier Field. They've also invested several $1 million in the demolition of the old racetrack. So, you know, they're already into Arlington Heights and that development to the tune of at least $30–40 million that they're going to do that. So the probability of them tossing that aside, bearing that financial burden, and then moving to Naperville, you know, or moving to some other Waukegan or some other community, I think is very slim. Now, I do support the idea of us letting the Bears and the overall business community know, as my colleague has stated, that we're open for business and that we do need to be very aggressive and proactive in doing that. I think that we have an opportunity to have a circulator from our metro station to the proposed stadium in Arlington Heights, where we can provide, you know, transportational assistance to deal with some of the overflow that's going to happen, to give ease of access to fans that want to attend the game but maybe not deal with the traffic and the congestion that's going to be occurring in Arlington Heights. We can certainly offer Hanover Park as an alternative and as an aid, you know, to dealing with that transportation issue. You know, and I think that, and when I look at what do we have to offer, you know, that would be of interest to them, you know, I think that that's one of the things. Now, there may be other issues that I haven't thought of, or other value-added items that I haven't thought of, but that's one that came to mind. And finally, serving on that committee, I served with representatives from Arlington Heights and from some of those neighboring communities. And I just find it difficult to, as they are trying to negotiate a settlement with the Bears, and the main holdup is from the school districts who are wanting to negotiate for a different tax rate. It's not to say that if by some chance they would decide to come to Hanover Park, that the school districts still wouldn't, you know, be asking for some type of tax rate that would cause the same type of problem. But I'm remiss to challenge and to muddy up the waters for Arlington Heights, who we have a good relationship with and serve on many committees with, to jump in and to make their task a little more difficult by throwing our hat into that ring. I think there's some ways that we can assist on that, some ways that we can be involved, but I, from the beginning, have kind of looked askance at the idea of inviting the Bears to do a stadium in Hanover Park. Now, there may be some other things that we can do, and to Trustee Gutierrez's point, I don't know where we would put them. We searched for years to find space for the fire department, you know, just to put that. So where we would put a Bears stadium kind of puzzles me. But anyway, that's my report. That's my, and I think we've discussed that, but that's my report.
Thank you. Executive session, section 2C11, litigation and probable litigation. Se-
Mayor, we no longer, we're going to have to delay the litigation piece. I just received a text.
So what are you suggesting?
Just the probable litigation.
Oh, just probable litigation. Still comes under 2C11? Okay. And then B, section 2C6, setting a price for the sale of property owned by the Village of Hanover Park. We will not be returning.
Correct.
Do we have motion?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Christie, call the roll.
Trustee Porter?
Yes.
Trustee Kunkel?
Yes.
Trustee Bancole?
Yes.
Trustee Prigi?
Yes.
Trustee Husani?
Yes.
And Trustee Gutierrez?
Yes.
Meeting adjourned at 8:51.
No, that's not adjournment.
Oh, sorry.
Do we have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Do we have a second? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. We are adjourned.